So this is the end of module, and we're going to be working on that. I am now opening up my instructions, which are here. The very first thing it tells me to do is save it with a different name. Again, I always recommend that you use F12. That makes it easier to save it. So we're going to save this as an extension and just change this to from a 1 to a 2. And it checks to make sure that your name is there. If your name's not there, then you need to re-download the files, just like pretty much every other one that says. All right, so your instructions are: Jaden manages the lawn garden department at Hargrove Home Improvement Stores throughout the Pacific Northwest. He created an Excel worksheet to track inventory details, the stock of the stores, and he's asked you to complete the calculations in the workbook. Doesn't get any more exciting than that. So we're going to go to the inventory worksheet, which is right here. And the very first thing it wants us to do is use a date function to display the date 5/5/21. Yes, you can just type it in, but then it won't be considered a date. So you have to be very careful about that. So the easiest way to do it is just go to formulas, and you can find the date and time from here, or you can use this FX over here. I'm kind of half and half as to which way I do it. So here's the date in here, and then we have year, month, and day. So we're going to type in 2021, and then 5 and 5. So now this number over here is actually, it represents a special code in number since the beginning. I'm not really sure exactly what, but how many days have passed in there. So we have now 5/5/21. So it's sometime in 1980, the number of days that have passed in there. That's when they started keeping track of these things. And then if you have a Mac, it tells you that it's just going to display it slightly different. So that's fine. Now we're in number 2. It says to click in cell E5. So this is E5. And we want to create a formula. It says don't use a function. We're going to create a formula that multiplies the amount on hand D5 by the wholesale price. So that's really fairly cut and dry. So all of our formulas are going to begin with the equal sign, and we're just going to multiply the wholesale price by the quantity on hand. So we click on the wholesale price, hit the star key, which is times the quantity on hand, and hit the enter key. And that does give us 210. Now here's the part. Let me bring this over here. It says fill the range E6 to E15 in cell filling without formatting. I do not understand the logic behind it other than they want to make sure that these green bars stay enabled. So I'm going, and now if you do it wrong the first time, it's going to kind of mess things up a little. So let me warn you of that. I learned that the hard way. So I'm going to right click down and drag down. When I let go, I'm going to choose fill without formatting. And yes, I know it's still formatted, but they're talking about these things in here. That's as best as I can understand. Okay, so that was that one. That was number 2, and now we're going to do number 3 in F5, which is right here. We are going to calculate the, we want to calculate without inserting a formula, without using a function that multiplies the wholesale price in B5 and the markup in L11, or L3 rather. So again, we're going to hit this, equal sign, the wholesale price, and the markup is 1.35. So technically the markup could be 35%, but if you choose it as 1.35, then you don't have to add the actual beginning price to it. So remember now, we have to use absolute reference in here. If you don't, when you copy it down, the L3 will change to L4 to L5, and we don't want that. So we'll choose the absolute, hit the enter key. So a $10.50 item now costs $14.18. I'm going to right click and fill down without formatting. So that takes care of number 3. In cell H5, it wants us to display a reminder reorder pants if it has 10 or more, and that was, all right, so let's go back to number 4, the second part in H5. Insert a formula that subtracts the in-stock date from the current date. So this is the current date right here, and this is the in-stock date. So it's just a simple subtracting. You can subtract dates. So it's going to be this and minus. Now, remember, we have to do absolute reference here. Otherwise, that will change. Minus the in-stock date. And you should get a number. If you get a negative number, then you reverse them. So just make sure that you're subtracting, hitting this minus the in-stock date. Now again, we can fill without formatting. And that should take care of that. All right, so that was number 4. In number 5, in column I, Jaden wants to display a reminder to reorder plants if the store has 10 or fewer plants on order. So we're going to click on I5. And all we're going to do is check to see if there's 10 or more. So if the store, so let me bring this over so you can read it with me. Okay, if the store has 10 or fewer plants on hand, display yes. Otherwise, display no in cell I5. And then we're going to copy it over to I6 to I15 without formatting again. So it's really kind of simple. We're going to do an if. However way you want to do the if, let's just work on the logical. And a straight if. So what is our logical test? Well, it wants to know if there's 10 or fewer plants in there. So what we need to do is if the on hand, and here we'll just choose, is less than or equal to 10. So again, we need to make sure that we have the actual if function correct. So it says if it has 10 or fewer. So if this is the case, we're going to put in a Y. Now in this case here, it will fill in the quote marks for you. So always be cognizant when you need it. Make sure that it fills it in for you. Otherwise, you can put that in yourself. So this should display false. And it says no. So we did that. We're going to copy over again without formatting. And I think hopefully we have that right. So that was number 5. Number 6, let me put this on for you. Jaden puts plants on sale if they've been in inventory for 40 days or more and the store is not reordering. So we're going to go to column J and we're going to display whether or not to reorder. So here it is in J5. Insert a formula. We're going to use the and. So the two things is we're not going to reorder and the days in inventory is greater than 40. So very simple. Again, we're going to use the and. Now, if you don't know where the and is, logical might make sense to start, but let's click on more functions and see what's there. And statistical, and it's not there. So let's go back to logical, and there's the and. So again, there's different ways of finding something, and if that doesn't work, just go to the function and type in and. So we have the and, so now we have our two conditions, except I'm in the wrong place. So let's go here, and this is what I was talking about. If you don't know where something is, just type in and go. And we select the and here and go. So now we have the two things is reordering if I5 is equal to no. So we want to do I5 equals, now here we're going to have to put in the quote, just to be on the safe side. if you put equals N, it's going to probably take it as a cell reference and possibly give you an error. So again, be very careful. So when in doubt, just put them in, because if they don't need them, they'll put them in for you if they do need them. And so just be really, really, really careful in there. All right, so we have, and that says none and greater than H5 is greater than 40. Sorry, I'm reading and talking at the same time. So this is greater than 40. So let's make sure it has it right, and that looks good. So you're going to get either a true or false, and again, we'll do the infamous fill without formatting. And that takes care of that. All right, now number 7. Jaden rates plants as A, B, or C, depending upon their quality, with A being the highest, has an A rating, and is being reordered, and Jaden offers a discount to Storage Garden Club. In column L, Jaden wants to display whether to offer a type of plant based upon these criteria. So in cell L5, we want to use an OR, and it's either an A rating or the reorder equals yes. So let's go in there. This time we're going to do OR. So we'll click here, and let's try the logical and see if we have an OR, which we do. So the first one is the rating equals A. So we're going to click in K equals. Now I'm only going to type in A this time. Let's see what happens. Okay, so this is what your issue is. It thinks it's a cell reference. So that's why you want to put in the quote marks. If it's by itself down here, it will probably fill them out for you. Just be very careful, but not in a condition. So let's go, and the other one is A or I5 equals Y. So we want I5. Oops. I5 equals Y. So we have a true and a false. So with an OR, only one of them has to be true. So we're going to click on true, and it gives us true here. So let's go down here, fill formatting, and that takes care of that. So let's move on. Let me bring up the instruction. Jaden likes to track details. In cell C18, we're going to use a count to get the total number in here, and that counts the non-zero ones. Then we're going to do an average. Then we're going to do a round up of the average in C20. All right, so that looks pretty cut and dry. So let's see how that works. So cell C18, don't do what I did and click it in here and submit it and it gets wrong. So we're going to use the count A. Well, where is it? Logical, statistical, who really knows? So let's go to more and statistical and see if we have it. And there it is, count A. So what we want to do is just count the number of plants, cell A5 to here, and it will basically give us the total number of 11. That takes care of that. In cell C19, I'm doing getting the average of D5 to D15. So we want the average of D5. Actually, I did that wrong. Let's click here and we'll go to auto sum and hit average. And then D5 here. And that's 14. And the last one in cell C20, we want to use the round up and average. So we can do the average first, and then we'll do the round up. And hopefully you'll see how easy it is. So we want F5 to F15. So again, we're going to use the average of F5, which is the retail price, to F15. So now we have 2018 in here. So we want to round up. So let's go and We're going to type right after the E, and we're going to type the word round. And you can see that there's a round up. When you get to this, you must double click, and then we'll fill in the rest for you. So that puts in the parentheses in here, and then we just want to do it to 1 decimal place. And let's see what happens. So that's 2020. All right. So it tells us now to look at our sheet, and let's see how close we came. So we have, we'll start down here, 11, 14, 2020. And let's take a look at, we have 210, 1998. We have no, yes, false, true, and AB. All right, so that takes care of this. I'm going to save it. And that's the whole worksheet.